Spawning. Down here in the bottom left position, he's representing Team Envy. Give it up for Creator. And his opponent down here in the bottom right position for Alpha X. He is RAGNAROK. And already Creator forcing him to head on up to the further away third base, just up there in the top. That does mean that it's going to be a little bit harder to defend early on because the creep spread just won't be there. But on a map like this, it's not necessarily the biggest of deals, and in this matchup it's also not the biggest of deals because you won't really see a ton of early aggression from either side. You know, you might see a couple of adepts come on in, you might see the Oracle, you might see the Void Ray, but at the end of the day that takes time to build up. It takes energy to build up, so yeah, it's not really gonna be the biggest of deals. Now taking a look of things, Creator still hasn't thrown down his tech just yet, but it is adepts. So what that kind of tells me is that he's saving up a little bit of additional gas. We do see the Stalker as well, just so he can get a kill on that one Overlord. But with that additional gas, you do get the Twilight Council down, and you do have the potential for Adept Glaives here. There's a chance that he starts things off with DTs, but I'm not hopeful for it. I think it is going to be that kind of Adept Glaive style, because that has the potential to do a lot of damage. And again, remember, the creep spread isn't all there. A lot of these workers are further away, so forget everything I just said. It is indeed that dark shrine. You can definitely tell it is early. As I forgot that these players do like to play cheesy sometimes. But now RAGNAROK has not really seen this. He doesn't have any vision in the main base. So all he can really do is kind of go for the bog standard response to playing versus Protoss. Get the Roach Warren down. Start to get your upgrades in. Maybe get a lair soon, because you are going to need Roach speed. But yeah, this is kind of just the bog standard way to play against a lot of this. And even just sending the adepts across, maybe trying to sell that this is some sort of adept opening rather than the dark shrine that it is. So far, so good, as the adepts do get surrounded. A hot pickup is required, and this does reveal the fact that there is a DT out on the map. It did get a couple of swipes off, so now RAGNAROK knows what's up. He's got a Spore Crawler in every single base. Still no lair, though. I find that a little bit interesting. That tells me that he might just want to go for like a 3-base all-in, maybe? Or yeah, it's just gonna slow him down. Creator already has the Immortals on the way to deal with the Roaches. He already has the Archons, obviously, that he can kind of dance around, force pull ways on the mineral lines. So he's going to be sitting pretty well here, pretty defensive. He doesn't really need to move out against a 3-base Ragnarok who doesn't have a 4th on the way. Remember, in any matchup, as the Zerg player, you never want to be equal on that base count. Because you just need a lot of larvae. You need a lot of minerals. And to do that, you need bases. Archons as well, just getting a little bit of damage. Some good pokes coming on in as Ragnarok trying to take the gold base. We see a transition coming in to the Spire Tech, just trying to take advantage of some of these little positions where he can try and make it through. Small run by is going to get caught, though, by Creator, as he is forced back. One thing to note is that Creator is fighting down the path where there isn't a lot of creep spread, so he is able, if he so chooses, to get pretty close to Ragnarok's bases before he's necessarily discovered. It's kind of funny to think about, because Ragnarok just now going to drop down those creep tumors, kind of understanding that weakness. But as the Spire finishes, we should be seeing the Muta count start to rise. Not a ton of anti-air, but there are Archons, and you can just start to morph in the Stalkers, which will have Blink. And now the Archons just doing a little bit extra. I prefer this. Yeah, I like this choice a lot better. Especially on a map where you do, while there is a deceleration zone, the Night Swarm doesn't really care. It's still pretty quick to get the units out. And, I mean, it's just right on top of Creator's base. This is so scary, so difficult to deal with, since the 3rd base is pretty far away. Yeah, the army is completely out of position, and Ragnarok just trying to make sure it stays that way, baiting him back towards the creep. There you have it, the Locusts making their way in. A couple of Stalkers are warped in. The Locusts, though, do not care. They're going to depower so much tech. 4 gateways going down the Robo facility as well. That's going to deny so much of Creator's production for a while. And now a couple of additional Night Swarms coming on in. Just going to make it impossible for Creator. He's pretty much going to have to play whack-a-mole and keep some units at home to defend against this. Oh my goodness. And you can kind of see he's forced to recall here. So only getting 6 workers. Look at that. Even the sentry's gonna fall. This is just the worst position for Creator now, as Ragnarok is just gonna keep dancing between these locations. Now the War Prism gonna try and slow this down just a little bit. But it's... yeah, now Ragnarok, he's transitioning into Lurkers. He's getting that Hive Tech upgrade. He might get a kill on that Nexus if he focus fires that down. I think overall, I kind of just prefer his position here. The shield battery putting in that overtime will save the Nexus, as well as those TTs just wailing away. Finds that position once again behind the gold base. Kills off a couple of tries to get a couple of additional workers. But now take a look at that bank for RAGNAROK. It's just starting to grow, which means he will be able to transition quite easily versus this army. And here we go, Creator just looking for any angle he can to attack. He takes some huge bile connections right there. And is forced back. The Immortals doing what they can to wreak havoc on the Roach count. But another base is under threat. This time, no shield battery overcharge. So he will lose that Nexus. As well as a couple of additional workers. Man, Creator just needs to find some damage now. He recognizes the position that he's in. Takes another big bile. One sentry goes down. The Stalkers blinking their way forward. There is a couple of DTs with this without any detection. Oh, but an Archon good does go down. Here we go. The Night Swarm does fall. The Locust, though, do soak up some of those hits. RAGNAROK does tap out. So, what do I think went wrong in that last game? RAGNAROK certainly had the advantage of surprise for a lot of that game. You know, he got that first Locust wave down. He got some delays on any additional warp ins because he killed off the pylon. Past that, he didn't really focus fire, so no probes went down. And he really didn't follow it up super efficiently, I want to say. And while Creator kind of put on a little bit of pressure, kind of made sure that the fact that RAGNAROK didn't have all of his supply available to him, he kind of just made it very uncomfortable as RAGNAROK maybe got a little bit too greedy with his transitions. You know, going for hive upgrades as well as lurkers. So just making it a little bit painful for him. As we do see, even just trying to delay that natural hatch for as long as humanly possible. Good surround by RAGNAROK, getting the first real big kill of the game. Now Creator is going back to the if it ain't broke, don't fix it style. He's got the Void Rays on the way. Probably going to go up to about 5 or 6. And behind that, you know, we see that transition. We see him go. We see them go into Gateway, Templar Archives, Charge, Twilight Council, Kitchen Sink, and Bathroom Sink just to throw in a little bit of a discount. So yeah, I think on this map, though, it's a little bit weaker. And the reason I say that is this is the perfect map for counter damage by those queens. We see either the Soul Strut, we see the German Taxi. We just see these quick and easy ways for the Zerg player, rather, to make their way to your base very, very quickly. As we see that Oracle gets about 3 kills and gets deflected very low on HP. I think while Creator does have good control, he just didn't really utilize it there. So now that Oracle is going to be very, very exposed. Behind this as well, Creator going to be going for Phoenix, which honestly I should have seen. He's a little bit better off with the Phoenix play than just the straight Void Rays. Now, just gonna be throwing down that Roach Warren. Again, not really overreacting. He should see that Phoenix count start to rise, and that's when, you know, all the red flags start to kick in. He starts to know that, okay, I can drone up a little bit more, but then I should just go. I should just take advantage of the fact that you don't really have a lot on the ground, and maybe just try and punch your teeth in. Phoenix just really getting some good value there. 5 workers going on in. And Ragnarok just going to go for the Nidus Worm. He's got to be careful, though. He's draining out a lot of Hydralisks there. You got to fight as a united front in order to make that super worth it. He's getting deflected at the natural as well. The wall is holding very, very well. More drones starting to fall. Gotta be careful not to lose the Phoenix. One does go down. Law of equivalent exchange. I think that was a fair trade. But now this is another thing that Creator's gonna have to deal with. He doesn't really have a ton on the ground. He's got some force fields, a couple of zealots, and 2 adepts, maybe an immortal or 2. But he can't really deal with the number of Hydralisks. Oh my goodness, this is going to be a bit of a hard hold. Instantly, the shield batteries go down in the backfield. The Phoenix starting to fall like flies. The force fields doing what they can to segment out a lot of this army. The Immortal going to hold on to the wall for as long as possible, but you can see the Hydralisk just chew through that armor. Not popping the shield battery overcharge just yet. There it goes. And honestly, I don't want to say it's a full-on good situation here. It looks like Creator is starting to hold, but he's starting to run out of energy on those Phoenix, and that is a good chunk of his supply. The Immortals doing everything they can, though, need to focus fire down the Queens, get rid of that transfuse energy. It looks like they are starting to fall. Only 1 left here. They do not have upgrades just yet. +1 now finishing, so they will hit a little bit harder. The supplies are so even, but the reinforcement from Ragnarok is so good. There is no energy left on those Phoenix. 1 more Immortal does pop, and you know, Ragnarok is starting to run out of steam, but I think before he does, he gets the last little bit of damage that he needs to kind of put himself over the edge. Oh my goodness, this is still so close, so scrappy. The Phoenix just barely getting enough energy here and there to pick up 1 Hydralisk at a time. Creator, I think he's holding, but I don't know. Someone help me. We need an adult. There we go. A big force field. Gonna shut down some of this. But 14 more workers going down. And yeah, that Immortal is not long for this world. I think that's the last little bit of defense that he has. 20 more workers going in. Ragnarok, I think, has barely broken through, but broken through nonetheless. There will be no more Immortals. The Archon is pretty good versus Hydralisks as well. Gonna add insult to injury, just getting that Nidus Worm down, right down in the middle. And with the Nexus going down, it's kind of a moot point. I think this is pretty much GG. Just waiting for Creator to tap out. Yeah, you're gonna need to build up a ton of energy, but you have like 3 Warpins available to you, and the Hydras are just gonna chew through all those Phoenix. GG is called. So once again, nothing too crazy. Obviously this map can be considered a little bit more Zerg favor, just because it's a little bit easier to take the additional bases. They're all on the high ground, so they're a bit safer in terms of rush distances. They can be a little bit shorter than you would necessarily think, because you do have these acceleration zones. And yeah, overall, I think this is honestly one of my favorite maps in a long time. Like, not even just talking about the current map pool, but just as a map design overall, it's quite unique. Now, once again, obviously the third base is going to go down before the natural. You know, Zerg players have just decided to say, I don't care. I'm not going to delay my build order for one single solitary probe anymore. There's just no point to doing that. You can still get the same amount of safety, the same amount of drones, if it's on the third base rather than the natural, and you don't need to slow down. But taking a look at it, Creator, is going to be going for a very aggressive opening here. Once again, going into the Dark Shrine build. Just because we do have that early robo facility coming on in. Gotta say, I don't disagree with it, you know? Getting the early damage out, getting those DTs in, maybe before the lair is done, maybe before there's detection, would be fantastic for him. And you know what? Forget it. It's Adept Glaives. I like it more. Adept Glaives is a little bit less of a gamble, to be honest. But we do see a couple of Adepts kind of getting cleaned up right there. That was not the best for Creator. He was trying to take that third base behind it. And the Stalker might go down the wall. It's not fully complete, so the Lings are going to get in. This is very, very unfortunate for Creator. He's going to lose a few units and also get scouted completely. Oh, the pylon going down before the warp gates are fully done as well. If he would have gotten that, that would have been a very nice little delay on Creator's timing. But Creator's pretty much, I don't want to say he's going all in off the back of this, but he's on 6 gates. And even though he is getting set up to take another Nexus, it's going to be a while before he can necessarily afford to do so. The first wave is heading on in. A Glaives is finished. And here we go. He's just building up that count. Taking a look at the supply. It's 37 to 51. So Ragnarok is starting to build up a nice little defense. The roaches, though, might not be enough anymore. As you can kind of see, they're getting cleaned up about 2-shot, and they weren't in position right now, so the Ling is trying to fight by themselves. That is a very not happy proposition. You got to be very careful not to let this snowball. But I think that is exactly what happened here, as Ragnarok doesn't have his units in the proper spots. One thing to note is Creator is just trying to go for the drone count, so that is costing him just a little bit. But he's still getting workers. He's still dancing between the bases. And behind this, we should see him throw down the third Nexus. You know, you don't really want to stay on this for much longer. Ooh, not the best warp over there. A little bit of a two-prong as 8 workers going down. Ragnarok actually down to 32 workers. 13 have been killed in the span of just a few minutes. 78 Adept Shades as well going on in. So overall, while this didn't start out perfectly great, Creator found the damage that he needs. And now Ragnarok has to respond in a big way. So far, he's not able to do so as his run-by is getting cleaned up. Now back at home, the Roaches doing what they can to kind of stem the flow of damage, but 5 more workers coming on in. Creator, I think it's starting to run away with this. Yeah, you know, Ragnarok, he's going to have to drone up eventually if he wants to stay ahead, if he wants to stay alive even. And he's just not ever going to be able to afford to do so. So we might see him kind of just decide, stay on 37 workers, stay on 36 workers rather, 2 more died, and go for a big Hail Mary towards the third base. So yeah, that's exactly what's gonna happen here as Ragnarok just sending everything across. A couple more adepts, just gonna try and slow this down. Gets all of the Lings to not be joined up with this, but the surround is full. 1 immortal going down, the second one in harm's way. So 2 falling very quickly. The War Prism is back in action, so a little bit of fancy micro might be available to him. Just got to be very, very careful there. The shield battery's going down. Oh my goodness, he is playing with fire with that immortal, dropping it right on the front line. There is a DT available to him, though. Is there a lair? There is, but there is no detection with this. I'm lying. There's an Overseer right here. But a Creator doesn't really have a ton available to him there, as it's currently 60 to 35. Now Ragnarok breaking his way through. And the probes, while they do retreat, they are starting to go down. I gotta say, I'm not 100% certain that Ragnarok can fully break through here. Creator is starting to kind of clean up a lot of these weakened roaches. And now with the shield battery available to him, these immortals just really will live up to their name. Sure, he's lost 15 workers, but he is still up about 10. And as the last bit of roaches fall, Ragnarok trying to drone up behind it, but I think he might see the writing on the wall. And there you have it, Creator. So, Romanticide. It's a macro map, that is for certain. It's a map where you can kind of get away with going up to a third base very quickly as the Zerg player. A bit safer even. But that being said, it is easier, again, for Creator to do kind of the same thing. So at the end of the day, that advantage of having the third base, it gets kind of deflected a little bit. So Creator has been going for the aggressive builds. The ones that are trying to kill you early on and not really having a ton of longevity. Like, we're not seeing the transitions into Colossus, Disruptors. Not seeing Storms, Archons until very, very late. And we're not really seeing that same kind of thing out of Ragnarok either. Both these guys are definitely mid-game players. They don't really like getting to that late-game situation. So when they do get there, it's kind of... I don't want to say half-butted. But it's a little half-butted. Now, once again, it is going to be Twilight Council here. The Stalker going to be jumping on out to make sure that Overlord does go down and get deflected. We have that Robo facility coming up. I think I'm going to make my prediction, and I know this is probably going to be the exact opposite because it has been this entire time. I'm going to think that this is going to be Adept Glaive because it's a little bit easier to kind of jump between the three bases. And just like clockwork, proven wrong, there's the Dark Shrine. It was all a trick. I'm using the Cast Accursed against it. As, you know, I wanted to see a Dark Shrine for this potential last game. But we do see those additional gates going on down. I don't think the DTs will get a lot done because Ragnarok has been good about getting, yeah, you know, these spore crawlers up. He's got one in the main base. Probably gonna throw down a couple more pretty darn soon. And one thing I've been liking is just this kind of use of the Adepts to sell a bit of a different picture. Like, they're out here on the map and they're able to kind of take some of the pressure away from those Dark Templar. Like, you can kind of see they're shading around, forcing the Lynx to stay at home over in the natural so the DT can try and make its way in. The shade a little bit late. All but one of those Adepts will go down. Before we go into the Archon drops, he's just warping a couple of extra DTs. Ragnarok overextending a little bit. Loses a lot of those Lings before starting to drone up. He feels quite safe, quite comfortable to do so. But there's the Evo Chamber for the upgrades. The lair is about halfway complete. And honestly, we're into the mid-game here. Blink Immortal. I like it. The train of thought obviously being that, okay, he's going for roaches. I'll have the Immortals. I'll have the Stalkers in front to kind of tank that. The micro potential is theirs. I don't think there's going to be a ton of lings. And that's kind of what he's thinking overall, I believe, as creator. And now, I don't think Ragnarok's going to give him time to build up. You just can't. If you do, you open yourself up to the possibility of that scary, very scary Protoss death ball. And with the death ball, you pretty much die because you'll have a mid-tier army of pretty much just roaches and lings, which just kind of collapse under the pressure. So Ragnarok trying to open up these rock walls here, just trying to get ready for the big one. Creator as well doing the same, adding on those shield batteries a little bit earlier, just so that he can hold the high ground. I think that's going to be the key linchpin of his defense. He does have the force fields available. The vials, though, will clean those out. Looks like the splash is doing work on the roaches in front. And Ragnarok, not taking the best engagement right there, loses a ton of supply very, very quickly. So that's going to allow Creator to kind of dance forward with these Immortals. That's really playing with fire, but I gotta say, I admire the boldness. So now Ragnarok forced to kind of stay on his back foot for a little bit longer. He's not in any position where Creator can necessarily counterattack and kill him. But it's just going to be a period of rebuilding, rebirth for him. He's still sticking with this mid-tier army. He's getting some upgrades. He's going to be adding on the Banelings just because he knows his opponent is more than likely going to be adding on the Zealots in the front to tank. And the Stalker's just going to dance around looking for creep denial, queen kills. Just those nice little pickoffs to indicate to Ragnarok that, hey, I'm out here on the map. I'm out here to stay. If you move out, I will pick you off. Can I take a look at that army supply? It's relatively equal with Creator having a little bit of a smaller economy, but that's understandable, to be expected in this game. You know, you do want to have that army, that similar army supply to deal with all of this. It's kind of hard to explain, but if you're equal on army supply with a Zerg player, it means that they're going to have to trade super efficiently in order to really make it worth their while. Creator, though, has to be a little bit careful as Ragnarok going to dive on top of this. A lot of his Stalkers are not in position. He's got 6 Immortals available to him. But the Banelings etching their way forward. I think at the very least, the 4th base will go down. The Banelings, though, being wasted on those Immortals. And Ragnarok is forced back. Creator takes the supply lead. Not content to do just that, however, he's going to look to clean up this army. The flank coming on in. Ragnarok getting completely cleaned up on this side of the map. But the feint attack here with the Ling is going to get a kill on the 4th base. So that's fantastic. That's going to slow Creator down just a little bit. Eats into that income slightly here. If we kind of take a look at that income advantage. Currently sitting at about 800 in Ragnarok's favor. And that will start to bounce up because of that snipe. Now, Creator might say, okay, you killed my base. I'm going to go for a big attack here. Or he might just say, I'm going to stick back, rebuild a little bit, and just kind of poke. Yeah, it looks like it is the first one. Ragnarok set up for a pretty big surround. And here we go. He has tightened the noose. He does get on top of the zealots, which were down there in the bottom left. And the Stalkers doing what they can. They want to soak up some of those Baneling shots. A good concave from Ragnarok, trying to mitigate some of that damage. And oh my goodness. All of the Banelings are going down. They try and get on top of the Archons, but it is just not enough. Ragnarok's supply is plummeting right now. The Roach count is absolutely decimated. And I think Creator has done it. GG.